It is springtime at Hog Wallow Farm. Young are being born and families started. As the flora begins to blossom, leaves emerge from their branches, flowers bloom and pollen wafts through the air like a fog at times. Everyone is sneezing. Snapping turtles are coming out of hibernation. Mom turkeys are cautiously walking their young chicks. Bernie's cousin looks for a meal at a beaver dam. Young bucks are growing horns. And the deer are all starting to turn red as they do every spring. Geese are pairing up. The bobcat kittens are grown up. There is a new addition to the farm, more on him later. Mama Beaver is busier than ever with new springtime dams. Unfortunately, the coyote are still here and in increasing numbers. Mo, Larry and Curly still raid the feeder. Newborn fawns are showing up. In the early morning, the hay is so high you cannot see the deer. This means it is haying season at the farm. The next few weeks will be filled with mowing, drying, and baling the hay crop. Welcome to the White-tailed Deer and Wildlife at Hog Wallow Farm Part 3. We will continue with the wild cow saga and bring it to a conclusion. Here is a recap to bring us up to date. A few of the neighbors' cows escaped from their farm and have been wandering around Hog Wallow for several weeks. They are very hard to catch. Several attempts to do so have failed so far. The cows have made themselves at home. Thus far they have knocked over 3 cameras and slobbered on several more. Hopefully we can corral them soon. Normally deer and cows get along. This calf thinks differently, chasing one of our deer. The cows can fog up, slime, and knock over a camera in a heartbeat. And now, for the rest of the story. The cows continue to wander the farm and have made themselves very much at home. They cannot pass up a camera without knocking it over or slobbering on it. They have wandered into our hay storage barns and eaten their fill. Plus they have knocked over a lot of new-grown hay in the fields. However, not all the fields are fenced in and there have been reports of cows crossing and wandering the nearby roads. This is extremely dangerous. In one attack on the cameras, they completely turned it upside down. We took the ATV out every day to try to track them down. However, they were extremely wary and would run for the woods or the swamp whenever they heard or saw us coming. Most of their wanderings seemed to be at night. They were fast, agile, and impossible to corner in the woods. Then one night one of the cows wandered onto a nearby road and was hit by a car, killing the cow and causing damage to the car. Luckily, the driver only sustained minor injuries. Every year, approximately 20 people in the US are killed by these seemingly docile creatures. Most of the victims were farm workers who were trampled or gored. A few of these cows weighed over 1,000 pounds and were becoming dangerous and somewhat aggressive to our ATV. By comparison, an average of 5 people are killed each year by sharks. After the car accident, the farmer who owned the cows decided to take more aggressive action. He put out sweet feed in a field for several days to get the cows to eat there. He then put up a pen with an open gate and continued to put sweet feed in it. Eventually the cows got used to the pen and feed. The farmer camped out in the brush, and as the cows fed he ran over and slammed the gate. 3 of the cows were captured this day. 1 was killed by a car. We do not know the fate of the other 2 and are looking into it. Since the farmer took down his pen, we are pretty sure they were captured or killed. Now there is a propensity to feel sorry for the cows. That is somewhat natural. However, farmers will tell you that there are some cows that should not be kept with the herd and need to be gotten rid of. The farmer's inability to capture them early on caused an accident which could have taken a life. The end fate of all beef cattle is that they will be slaughtered. Despite what some of the younger generation think, meat does not grow in the supermarket. The farmer wanted everyone to know that the cows can be visited in 2 weeks at the local meat counter at the Publix in Gainesville, Georgia. That is the fate of beef cattle. These guys got the luxury of running wild, as the wind, for several months. Now, back to our wildlife. Stop everything. Now that everybody is bummed out about the cows and having to go to Publix to see them, we have some great news. Our cameras showed that the one last mama cow was still on the farm. This is the one the farmer could not find. We called him and he luckily managed to catch her. A week later he called and stated that instead of sending this wild bunch to Publix, he reunited them with his herd and they settled down nicely. So, after several months of running wild, they are back home. Let's hope they stay there. But wait, another cow escape occurred. This time a neighboring farm's cows escaped and made themselves at home in the lush hay fields of Hog Wallow. Now these belonged to Farmer Phil, and some of them were bottle-fed and hand-raised. They were very friendly and congenial, unlike the other renegade herd. Even Ferdinand the bull was of exemplary character. Farmer Phil was an outstanding farmer who knew his stuff. First thing he did was scout out the herd. Then he devised a plan to lure the cows back home. He took buckets of sweet feed, which is a mixture of grain and molasses, out to the cows for several days. Sweet feed is like cow crack. Then he took bucket loads out in his tractor and the sweet feed crackhead cows went crazy for it, and followed him home. That is Ferdinand the bull and his son Freddy the calf pulling up the rear of the herd. Farmer Phil put the F in farming. Job well done. This is the story of Fred the donkey. We got a call from one of our farmer neighbors saying that we had a donkey running around with the wild cows. We checked our cameras and sure enough, nobody claimed him or wanted him, and he was in rough shape. He had probably not been properly tended to for years. Since the cows would eventually be captured, we decided to corral the donkey. He is short but very strong. Donkeys in the area are not sought after animals except to keep as pets or use as guard donkeys for cattle or goats. The donkey or ass, Equus africanus asinus, is a domesticated member of the horse family, Equidae. The wild ancestor of the donkey is the African wild ass, E. africanus. The donkey has been used as a working animal for at least 5,000 years. There are more than 40 million donkeys in the world, mostly in underdeveloped countries, where they are used principally as draft or pack animals. A male donkey or ass is called a jack, a female a jenny or jennet. Asses were first domesticated around 3000 BC, probably in Egypt or Mesopotamia, and have spread around the world. As beasts of burden and companions, asses and donkeys have worked together with humans for millennia. Fred may be small, but he is tough. We see him here getting his share of a feed block. The cows backed up as Fred backed in. Donkeys like company, so Fred, as we found out was supposedly his name, liked a hand with the renegade cows. They didn't particularly like him or want him around, but he followed them anyway. Fred continued to wander the farm for weeks until one day we were able to capture him. That is Jordan, the feeder and camera tender, struggling to bring him in. We got Fred into a pen safely. He had a visit from a vet, probably his first ever, received the necessary shots and treatment, and had a visit from the farrier. The farrier will have to visit a few more times to get his hooves back in shape. Right now Fred is kept separated from the goats. In time we hope they can be united. The vet figured that Fred was about 7 to 8 years old. Working donkeys in the poorest countries have a life expectancy of 12 to 15 years. In more prosperous countries, they may have a lifespan of 30 to 50 years. Seems Fred will be around for a while. A relative new animal to our area is the 9-banded armadillo. Armadillos are small to medium-sized mammals. They are characterized by a leathery armor shell and long, sharp claws for digging. They have short legs, but can move quite quickly. The average length of an armadillo is about 30 inches, including tail. They are prolific diggers. They use their sharp claws to dig for food, such as grubs, and to dig dens. The 9-banded armadillo prefers to build burrows in moist soil near the creeks, streams, around which it lives and feeds. The diets of different armadillo species vary, but consist mainly of insects, grubs, and other invertebrates. Armadillos have very poor eyesight and use their keen sense of smell to hunt for food. They dig their burrows with their claws, making only a single corridor the width of the animal's body. We have named this fellow Aloysius the Armadillo. As you can see, he is a hearty digger. About a month ago he started digging a burrow right next to a road on the farm. Strangely, he shows up every night and day, digs a little and then goes away. We have no idea why he does this or where he goes. However, the burrow is consistently getting deeper. Armadillos are often used in the study of leprosy. They are particularly susceptible due to their unusually low body temperature, which is hospitable to the leprosy bacterium. Humans can acquire a leprosy infection from armadillos by handling them or consuming armadillo meat. Armadillos are a presumed vector and natural reservoir for the disease in Texas, Louisiana, and Florida. The armadillo is also a natural reservoir for Chagas disease. So, the lesson here is look, but don't touch. This is one of our resident muskrats. His name is Marvin. Adult muskrats weigh 1.3 to 4.4 pounds, with a body length of 8 to 10 inches. They are covered with short, thick fur of medium to dark brown color. Their long tails, covered with scales rather than hair, are their main means of propulsion. Muskrats spend most of their time in the water, and can swim underwater for 12 to 17 minutes. They live in families, consisting of a male and female pair and their young. To protect themselves from the cold and from predators, they build nests that are often burrowed into the bank with an underwater entrance. Muskrats feed mostly on cattail and other aquatic vegetation, but also eat small animals. The Great Egret is a large heron with all-white plumage, standing up to 3.3 feet tall. It is often called the white heron, a cousin of our friend Bernie, the blue heron. The Great Egret feeds in shallow water or drier habitats, feeding mainly on fish, frogs, small mammals, and occasionally small reptiles and insects, spearing them with its long sharp bill most of the time, by standing still and allowing the prey to come within the striking distance of its bill, which it uses as a spear. It often waits motionless for prey, or slowly stalks its victim. Here is our old friend Bernie at the same beaver dam. There are lots of frogs and small fish in the water, so he and the egret like to dine there. You all remember Otto the otter from last winter, right? Well, here is a surprise. Otto has relatives, lots of relatives. Here are 5. An otter's den is called a holt or couch. Male otters are called dogs or boars, females are called bitches or sows, and their offspring are called pups. Even more surprising, here are 7 otters. The gestation period in otters is about 60 to 86 days. The pup lives with its family for approximately 1 year. Otters live up to 16 years. They are by nature playful, and frolic in the water with their pups. Its usual source of food is fish, but it may sample frogs and birds. The otters, muskrats, beavers, and a plethora of other aquatic wildlife all live in the environment created by the beavers. Speaking of beavers, let's see what they have been up to. They have been very busy this spring with 4 dams along one stream on the farm. This is Mama Beaver's husband. His name is Papa Beaver. He is Bucky Beaver's dad, and a fine specimen of beaverhood. We will show you how we know he is Papa Beaver rather than Mama. Watch closely as the beaver family cross the dam. Look at Mama Beaver's tail and you will see someone has taken a big chunk out of it. And Bucky stays close to Mom as always. See how closely Bucky stays to his mom. By the way, baby beavers are called kits. Now we are not going to point any fingers, but do you think Sammy the snapping turtle had anything to do with it? We used to think that Mama Beaver was a wonder beaver, building all these dams by herself as Bucky watches on. Until we saw this video of Papa Beaver working with her. Who knew? Beavers worked as a team. Beaver teamwork. What amazing animals. Let's get back to our wildlife. We have some old friends visiting us and some new and unexpected ones. This is Eloise. We have not seen her for a long time. We can tell it is her by the notch in her left ear if you look closely. It is hard to tell if she is pregnant this year. Eloise is a strange deer. She usually does not hang out with the other does, but is often a loner. A wonderful morning stretch. This is extremely interesting. Matilda is still with her boys and showing them affection. We are not deer obstetricians, however, Matilda does look a little pregnant to us. Here she is with the boys again, and their horns are growing as we go into summer. One thing for certain, this doe is pregnant. Our favorite buck, Romeo, was seen at night. His horns are growing nicely, but unfortunately, he still limps. We usually put grease on the feeder legs, but rain washed it off and Curly was able to climb up. You will notice that he generously gives some to his brothers on the ground as well as feeding himself. It is early June and the hay was just mowed. Matilda and the boys survey the new landscape. A few weeks later we find Willoughby and Poppy near the feeder. Their horns have grown. Willoughby gives Poppy a good thump on the back. Boys will be boys. We have observed over the past year that there is a deer hierarchy. The older bucks tend to stay together, as do the younger ones. The big boys here are strolling through the south part of the farm. Our favorite buck shows up in early July. Romeo is looking magnificent in velvet horns. He still limps and probably will forever. This is Alfonso at night. He will probably have the largest horns again this year. A little dose of cuteness as a fawn cautiously crosses a beaver dam. This is Hooter the owl. Hooter looks to see why the hawks are making such a racket. Otter is hunting for breakfast. Now that our kittens are grown, we have noticed that they do not travel in pairs as much as when they were young. Watch as this beautiful cat spends some leisurely time on the log bridge. We see one of our cats walking along with deer about 75 yards behind. Everybody is at peace for now. However, in this video we see two does getting aggressive with a bobcat, more than likely one of our kittens. Nobody was hurt in this skirmish. Let's spend some time observing our newborn fawns and their doting moms. And probable demise of our beloved tripod, the three-legged raccoon. We have 45 cameras about the farm, and for the past several months we have not seen Tripod. Nobody knows how Tripod lost his leg or if he had a disease. He might have been born without it. However, His handicap probably made him a prime target for the coyotes. Go quietly into the night, beloved tripod. We will all meet at Rainbow Bridge someday. This is the pregnant female coyote. The Atlanta Coyote Project states, the pregnant female will eventually settle into a den, and after a 2-month gestation period, multiple pups, usually between 4 and 7, will be born in the spring. Both parents help to raise the offspring by providing food, and pups are weaned and begin to venture out of the den after about 35 days. Pups remain with their parents over the next few months, but they grow up fast and must eventually strike out on their own before the next generation is born. Some of the offspring might remain to help raise the next batch of younger siblings, but most will disperse in an attempt to find their own territory and mates. The parents can then start to produce a new litter of pups when mating season comes around again. A Georgia Department of Natural Resources paper states that increased numbers of coyote sightings create increased concerns of landowners for their property and safety. However, by nature, coyotes tend to steer clear of potential danger. The article also states that, contrary to popular belief, these animals do not hunt in packs but rather are primarily solitary hunters. Well, take a look at this footage. A well-planned hunting trap was set for one of our deer. The male coyotes divided up at the top of our pond. One came straight down after the doe while the other came in from the left. Coordinated hunting. Luckily for our doe, she escaped into the thicket. And here they are spreading out again for another hunt. You know things are bad when the coyote pack scares even the toughest of our raccoons. Curly books it out of there in a hurry. That looks like a deer leg to us. Now, do you think your little Bobo the poodle or Felix the cat would stand a chance against these apex predators? It is late August at Hog Wallow Farm. Hot, muggy days in the 90s and unfortunately a very wet month. This makes haying very difficult. All the parents are busy raising their families. Mama Beaver and her husband have had twins. We can tell it is our mama by the notch in her tail, if you look closely. The babies stick close to Mom. Their names are Buford and Bartholomew. Mama Hen is walking her children with the help of Aunt Tulula on a sunny afternoon. She has luckily kept them safe from the coyotes, not an easy task. A mature male turkey is called a tom or gobbler. A mature female is called a hen. A yearling male is a jake. A yearling female is a jenny, and a baby is called a poult. It is early morning in late August and Mama Raccoon is searching for breakfast with her babies. As you can tell, they are a noisy bunch. Mother raccoons can have between 2 to 5 babies in a litter, and they will have just 1 litter per year. Baby raccoons are called kits, and they are typically born in early spring between March and April. But if a mother's first litter does not survive, she may give birth to a second litter as late as June. All families seem to have that one child, and raccoons are no exception. Unfortunately, the Coyote Pups have grown and are now hunting on their own. Deer fawns are growing rapidly and are losing their spots. And most unusual of all is Matilda and her 2 sons, Poppy and Willoughby. They are still together. This is extremely unusual and baffling to our local deer experts. For a little while we thought Matilda was pregnant, and quite possibly had another fawn. A lot of does come up to the feeder to eat corn, and bring their babies. More than occasionally we would see Matilda, Poppy, and Willoughby with a fawn mixed in. In this video we see Poppy chasing a fawn. Whether it belongs to another doe, or Poppy is harassing a sibling, we do not yet know. We have been observing and videoing our neighbor wildlife for over a year and a half. What a wonderful learning experience. Here is Eloise as she jumps over a fence to get a corn breakfast. A strange but wonderful doe. She looks well today. We were there when Willoughby and Poppy were born. They are Matilda's 2 sons. We have watched them grow into fine young bucks that, surprisingly, have stayed with their mother. She always dotes on them and affection is truly apparent. Poppy is the scrappy one who fought off the corn-stealing raccoons and became a legend amongst the local herds. And who can forget the tragic fight between Romeo, our favorite buck, and Rufus? Romeo still limps today, but is a magnificent-looking buck. Then there is Bernie, the political look-alike who almost got eaten by our bobcats. Bernie is alive and well. Speaking of bobcats, the kittens are grown up and doing well, but still getting into trouble. Of course the coyotes are still here. And Mama Beaver had twins in the spring. She has 4 dams and is still married. Her son Bucky graduated engineering school and now builds his own dams. Old Fred the rescue donkey is doing well. He has adjusted to the goat herd and rumor has it that he may be getting a girlfriend soon. Good luck, Fred. It is late September as we say goodbye to our animal friends and families for now. We have had many requests, well maybe 2, to keep making videos of our wildlife. We will probably do so from time to time. Thank you for watching.